You know.
I'll be in New Orleans. Unfortunately, I'm in New Orleans for the draft.
I am the walrus, cuckoo, cuckoo.
You're the longest.
I am not going to Buffalo to do a live show. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
We could do it live from that special bar you were just talking about.
I heard the wings are very average in Buffalo.
No, the wings are very average at a particular place that is the home of the world famous chicken wings. It's such. I really have a problem with it. Let's just say I will never get the Anchor Bar as an advertiser for Hockey Buzz because their wings are crap.
It's fun.
I've been to the Ruck in Troy, New York. Probably has the best wings I've had. Like I was expecting this bar, the Anchor Bar, to have better wings.
No.
The Ruck in New York are better.
Nobody in Buffalo goes to the Anchor Bar.
That's usually how it is. Yeah, it's a tourist trap.
It's the tourists that go. That say, oh, let's go to the world famous Anchor Bar where they can have those. The place that started chicken wings. Okay, it's not that great. But every time you see a Bills game, this is the thing that drives Buffalonians nuts. Okay, they when the Bills are on CBS or Fox, there are two shots you are undoubtedly going to see during like the B-roll. The friggin' guy at the Anchor Bar.
3 shots. Go ahead. What are the first two?
Friggin' guy at the Anchor Bar spinning the wings in the sauce, and the shot of Niagara Falls, which is 35 minutes north of Buffalo.
Yeah, that doesn't matter though. When the Mets play, they show city shots and things like that, and. I used to be in charge of that. We used to do for certain shows. I used to have to go around and shoot all those scenic shots.
But what's the third one, Dan?
A Buffalo Bills fan crying.
Yeah. Oh, ouch.
Yes.
Here's Mr. Kevin Allen.
Hello, Kevin.
I can't hear you.
Yes. You have to log back in the volume.
Log in. For some reason, lately that's been going on with us.
That's the real technical way of fixing things.
Yeah, you just go turn it off and turn it on again. Just log out, log back in. That'll work. There you go.
Yeah, but no, it.
Well, Philadelphia's always Philadelphia. This is actually a good blog, Joe.
Yeah. I'm keeping it in my mind right now.
Right, Philadelphia is always a cheesesteak thing. Like always, you see them making cheesesteaks or whatever, and sometimes a mummer. It's just like
or the Rocky statue.
I like the Chicky and Pete crab fries.
Yeah. One time I waited in line for what felt like the entire game of a Phillies game for Chickies and Pete crab fries.
At least
I have a horrible story about Chicky and Pete crab fries. You have to wash your hands after that. But I can't go any further than that. But that is something that you must do.
Oh, gross! I don't want to hear about that.
No, there's nothing else. No, I'm not saying just make sure after you eat chicken and Pete crab fries, you wash your hands really well. And everybody you're hanging out with washes their hands really well. Just saying, that's all. It's not gross.
Yes, but Dan, the question is, are they using the same B-roll over and over? Is that like somebody?
Oh yeah. Here's a little look behind the green curtain. Baseball Tonight at ESPN still uses things that I shot 5 years ago. If it still works and it's relevant, you use it because it just saves money and time.
So those wings were spun in like 2003.
I'm sure they've been updated since then, but yeah, if we can use it, we used to have a database of every city. So, like, let's say I was going to Denver, I could log in and look at all the Denver shots and put them on my disk and take them with me. And if I had to get new stuff, I would.
They're decomposing in a landfill somewhere.
The best one is when I went to Aspen. I always found the reason to get out in the city and shoot more scenics because that place was amazing.
Hey, Gav.
Come on, this damn thing.
Now it's awesome when we can't hear Russ, but we like Kevin.
This confirms that Jill and Kevin can never be on at the same time. No, we cannot do this.
Try it again.
Try one more time. Give it one more shot.
Log off, log back on. It should work.
Super technical. Super technical.
You can't stop Kevin Allen. You can only hope to contain him.
If it doesn't work this time, we're gonna try this. If you could figure that out, would be tricky. We are live. I shouldn't. Okay. Here's my big bell. Oh, I got so much to talk about today.
Yes, and everybody should follow Rush the Chicken on Twitter.
Yeah,
it's a must follow.
That's why I was just saying we shouldn't talk chicken wings around here. that chicken could be about.
Oh yeah, is Russell? That was really insensitive of us.
It was very insensitive. I don't know. I don't think that.
Had some of that coming for him. I think after the day before.
Personally, I like chicken breasts. No, just not.
I think that chicken is just rest of the chicken lives in a coop up in the backyard and.
I hope he's cage free.
Oh no, yeah, he's cage free, but he won't leave his area for less than $1,000. So we have to see when he gets see what's out. But yeah, no.
Free range.
First time my kids watched the show, I'm like, you might want to see this crazy chicken that visited the show.
I had like 17 mentions on my timeline after the show was over about Rust the Chicken.
There was a long stream of Twitter notifications I saw, like between everybody there.
Let me see if I can invite Kevin again. Maybe I will give me a different invite. It'll help him.
Yeah.
Boys,
exciting part of the show, right? It's happening right now.
Well, this is exciting. I know we're gonna. Well,
we won't talk about the game, but I have to say though, it's like I have to get conditioned now for these West Coast games.
Oh yeah.
Even though LA San Jose was a phenomenal game, I was drifting off in the third period. I had to fight to keep myself up to watch the third period of that game. It was great. The excitement of the game kept me going, but it was 1:15, 1:30, and I was about ready to.
Drum roll, please. Kevin,
speak.
Hello.
Fantastic.
I didn't know what to think because I am all drugged up. It feels like the 1970s.
Really?
I got all this. I came home from Pittsburgh. My daughter, sometimes daughters know best, not fathers, because my daughter insisted I needed to go to the doctor. I insisted I had just had allergies, even though I'd been coughing for 3 weeks. And, she said, you need to go to the doctor. So I listened to her, and I drove home from the Pittsburgh series. Went to the doctor. He looked in my mouth and said, "Oh my God, it looks like the center of the earth," and said I had all sorts of infections and gave me multiple drugs. So I am literally all
nice.
Yes, Kevin Allen Unfiltered.
We're gonna get the real stories today, kid.
And I'm, I feel like $1 million. Like $1 million.
I'm telling you.
Kevin is high on life.
I got 6 hours of sleep. That's like a good week for me, so I'm feeling really good.
Yeah, well, I'm ready to go back to the. Although the one thing she did say to me as I was walking out, she gave me all the prescriptions. She said, "Yeah, and probably you shouldn't go on any planes for a while."
Yeah, right.
I said like that. I said that, my friend, is not going to happen. So.
Oh man, yeah. You need to Afrin yourself up on a plane. That's the trick when you have a cold. Have that Afrin stuff. Shoot it up your nose right before you land. You'll be all right. But otherwise, you could have that exploding ear thing.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I feel great. Everything's good. Let's talk hockey.
Let's go. It's today. Hello, Hockey World. Let's do that. Okay, me do that.
Okay.
Dan followed me, then Jillian. And then Kevin last.
Got it.
All right. Hello, Hockey World. It's Friday, April 15th. Hope you paid your taxes. 2016.
Actually, they're due on Monday.
On Tuesday in Boston.
Yeah.
Let me try again.
Yeah, take two. Where's
Hello,
the
Hockey
chicken?
World. It's Friday, April 15th, 2016.
I'm Michael Lagello.
I'm Dan Petru.
I'm Jillian Fisher.
I'm Kevin Allen of USA Today Sports.
And I am Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday, and we are so happy to have Kevin Allen back with us to talk a little bit about these first couple days. Does it feel like the playoffs have been going on for a week?
Yeah, actually it does. I saw Barry Melrose brought that up this morning on ESPN, and I thought, Barry, you're right on this one. It does. I mean, and like bad things have happened to good teams already. We're 48 hours into this, and Couturier is out. The Minnesota Wild have been completely overmatched because of their 3, injuries. There's panic in the streets of Pantherville because Luongo gave up 5 goals. There's a lot of bad things that have happened to good teams, and mostly we're having overreaction. But to me, the anxiety is at about a second week level instead of a second day level. So that's why
you're exactly right.
It seems like it's been going on forever.
Kevin, if there's overreaction, it's my time of year.
Oh, absolutely.
No, it's made for that. And I mean, to me, and like Mike talked about before, conditioning yourself to stay up for these late games is really like you should. Next year, I'm going to practice like ahead of time, like staying up and watching baseball games or something, because it's like I cannot let. I mean,
that's why I'm choosing to direct a television show that comes on at 1 a.m. So
right. I mean, I got to get back into napping. You know, like I'm a great napper, but I got to get back into that. I got to hit the napping again because, honestly, this is just like this has been crazy, and these two late games have been so exciting. And last night, I literally dropped I was lying in bed, you know, and we had everybody with us, which is not abnormal in the Eklund household to have my wife, 2 kids, 2 dogs, all in, and I'm they're trying to fall asleep.
And Russ the chicken too.
And Russ the chicken, which Kevin doesn't know anything about, but we'll just leave it there for now.
I can't wait to hear that tale.
Watch the end of yesterday's show. So I'm holding my iPhone up like this, and I'm watching the game, and I drop it on my face. Ever done that? Falling asleep?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I dropped an alarm clock on my face.
Falling asleep and drop it, and you feel like such an absolute idiot when you do it. There's like nothing. You just like, why am I not filming this? You know, like this is just. I felt like such an idiot. I dropped it, and hurt my nose. And that was just as Pavelski scored the goal in the third period to give them the lead.
So that's how you got that black eye a few months ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, well, that was because I was holding the iPad Pro above me. No, but in this case, yeah, this is just my iPhone, and I whacked myself in the face. Unbelievable. But, yeah, the stress level is there already. The storylines there's so many storylines, and the Predators haven't even played the Ducks yet.
Yeah.
And I feel like minus the Rangers game and the Wild game, every game has just been intense.
Sorry.
What?
Sorry, I couldn't get to the mute button.
A lot of brain cells were killed in that.
Well, not that many.
No, I agree with you. I agree, Jillian. That's exactly right. I mean, those games. I mean, every game's been. I mean, the Wild game was the first game that didn't really have an intensity to it. Even the Flyers game, I mean, had a bit of an intensity. It was a weird game. The Flyers game, I thought it was a little bit. You know, it was definitely a strange kind of feeling out. I think there was a little too much emotion going on, and
there's also 6 players from the Flyers who it was their first NHL playoff debut. That's a lot of players on your team to be making an NHL debut.
Yeah, and let's start with that game real quick. So I agree. Like this. I mean, one we have seen countless times now, and it's so funny because I have a buddy who has been on the Shane Gostisbehere bandwagon since he was at Union College. He wanted to see him play at the Frozen Four, and just thought this guy was the best. And he is awesome, an awesome player and everything like that. But I've been telling him, like Russ has been saying, he does make unbelievably glaring mistakes, like huge mistakes. And last night on the second goal, which was obviously. I don't know if they showed this on the U.S. feed. I was watching the Canadian feed, but Voracek makes the terrible giveaway, right? Of course, trying to skate the puck through this neutral zone. But then Gostisbehere is coming out of the penalty box at the time,
and he changed.
And he's coming out of the penalty box to go right to the bench, which is what you should do, but not when the puck is coming back into your own zone.
So Giroux didn't get back either. There was that one guy.
I think Giroux expected Gostisbehere to pick him up because Gostisbehere skates right past Beagle. Right onto the bench.
He shouldn't have changed.
Right, yeah, you should. When the puck's coming back in your own zone, you never come right off. Like he came right off, and that was a big mistake. Although he did literally, I mean, there was the slash he took right before that.
Did Tom Wilson hit him too? Was that who Tom Wilson hit?
No, Wilson hit McDonald.
Oh yeah. At what point? Like it's the way the Capitals play in the playoffs. Just from an outside looker, outside observer, completely unbiased here, they make the Flyers likable. I mean, at what point is Tom Wilson going to have to think some kind of supplementary discipline?
Well, the funny thing is, I mentioned before the playoffs started, the game that Philly played in Detroit, Wayne Simmons, who's been arguably the best Flyers player, got knocked out of the game because he got an extra minor because he ripped off the helmet of Justin Abdelkader. And last night, with 6 minutes left to go in the third period, down 1-0, they lose him for a retaliatory fight against Tom Wilson when he's the guy who, along with Giroux and maybe one other player, has the best chance of tying that game. To me, I mean, I know he's sticking up for his teammate, and I understand that, but to me, that's almost selfish. You do not do that. You do not fight Wilson, because that trade, Washington will take that trade off every day, including Sunday. Tom Wilson for Wayne Simmons, they lose that bet.
I mean, to not to defend him, because I do agree it was definitely, and this is what you get with Wayne Simmons. You get this, like I said before a couple times, this incredible emotional highs and lows. So you have to kind of, what's the old expression in Philadelphia with Herschel Walker when he came out and said something? You got to like me, warts and all. This is that's like the Simmons thing. You got to like him, warts and all. This is what he is. He will do that occasionally, and you have to and unfortunately it's a playoff game, and he's going to get, for some reason, 2 minutes for roughing and 5 minutes for fighting just to even out the whole thing. And that was, it really wasn't. Both players came together. They both fought together. It really wasn't like he should have gotten.
The Flyers should have had a power play after that.
Yeah, the Flyers should have had a power play after that.
There was some dicey officiating throughout the playoffs last night.
Yes, absolutely.
It was almost like Wilson actually went and said, "I'm going to pull Simmons off here and get
exactly."
And that was because they came together. It wasn't an instigator type situation or anything like that.
So the Gastabier situation though is gives reason why coaches are so hard on younger players.
Yeah.
Because you can make a case that Gastabier had too much success too early, so he has not learned the lessons. He hadn't been beat up by the coach enough to know to play the defensive side of the game. It's like James Bond. To get a license to kill, you gotta kind of prove yourself. And Gastabier has already been given his license to kill, but he really has not learned how to play all sides of the game. And
he has a license to kill, but he doesn't know how to clean his gun.
Yeah, exactly.
He looks very nervous. Okay, like that. To me, that I got the sense he was very nervous last night. And that's I think somewhat normal, right? As a rookie in his first playoff game.
The
thing about this, though, and I'll let you finish, Mike. I'm sorry. But the thing about this tonight, the Flyers are playing on house money. They really are. And I thought that overall they killed off 5 of 6 power plays from the Capitals, which I wouldn't have expected. That was impressive because the Caps power play has destroyed the Flyers in general. The Flyers power play is obviously. This is what I want to see from Hackstall. This is where I want to see some coaching. The Flyers power play has been figured out. Okay, this has been something that has been figured, and they were talking on the broadcast about the Capitals have a guy who's the penalty killing coach, and he has studied this power play inside out, and basically they have figured it out based on the fact that Voracek has, Bill Meltzer tweeted this out, 1 goal on the power play this year. So as much as you want to say that Voracek's a threat on the other side, he's not, and teams have shifted away from them. They're focusing more on Simmons, more on Braden Shen in the middle, more on Gastabier. And they just need to. The only thing that's been going in the last month, that first power play unit has been awful, and the second power play unit has been slightly better. But they have to change their strategy on the power play, or else they're not going to go anywhere. This is it's crazy. They are so predictable, and you know exactly what they're going to do all the time.
The positive was that Mason played very well. I don't think he was at fault for either of the goals. Beagle's shot from the slot was almost impossible to stop, and that bouncing shot from Carlson was a tough one. But to follow up your point, they had 4 power plays in the first half of the game, and I don't remember a really great chance that they had in either one of those 4 power plays. And then when
that one,
when the referees brought it back the other way to balance it out in the third period, then the flow of the game basically went all one direction. So they've got to get that power play going. Otherwise, I don't think they have a chance against the Caps.
But you also have to give credit to the Capitals' defense. They were putting their bodies in front of the pucks consistently throughout the game. They blocked 23 shots. I know most of those came in the second and third period, but the defense for the Capitals showed how important that is to winning a game. And I think also with Mason, if the Flyers are going to have any shot of making this a series, he's got to keep playing at that level.
Oh yeah, that's a great point, because if Holtby's making 19 saves a game, this is going to be a short series.
But let me bring up a point about the power play too that Ken Holland made earlier this year, and I thought it was fascinating, and it really just made me laugh because the Red Wings have gone through an extended period where they couldn't score on the power play, and they were trying a lot of different things. And Ken Holland, I was doing a story on it, and I said to him, and he said, well, here's the thing on the power play that no one likes to talk about that's really true, which is there's a lot of luck involved in the power play, and percentages are what they are all the time. Like he said, we were great on the power play last year, and then we added Mike Green, now all of a sudden we can't score. Well, is it because we're worse on the power play, or is it just we've had bad luck?
Right.
We've gone in this string where we can't score, and he goes, I can tell you that at some point, he says, we're going to go and we're going to get like 9 power play goals in like 15 chances, and then our percentage is going to go back up where it was before we started this slump. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. They came out of that slump. The Red Wings down the stretch got like 9 power play goals and 16 chances, and their percentage went right back to where it was before the slump. And it's just a lot average. And his take on it all is that you're throwing the puck at the net from the points now. You hope it bounces off someone and it goes to your guy. Sure. And everybody's the same. And 1 year you're going to be good at it, and because you had some luck, and the next year you won't because you didn't have any luck. Right. And maybe something to that.
It's a great point. It's a really great point, and I think that we've seen more of that. And you do see though. I mean, I really do think that there's more time spent scouting your other team's power play versus scouting the other team's penalty killing unit. There seems to be. I've noticed that there's definitely seems to be if power play units are scoring, they're not changing them at all, right? If you're scoring, as you say, Kev, it goes up and down. But if you're scoring, you're just letting it ride.
Yeah. But penalty killing units are usually reactionary acts, so you really can't. I mean, they're really usually. I mean, they augment themselves to the other team's power play. If you're playing a 1-3-1 power play, they're going to play one guy up high, one guy down near the net.
No, that's true. But there's mainly 2 strategies in penalty killing that I've noticed. There's just completely give the power play unit no time at all, just charge all the time, go after everything, or sit back. That's it. You have one or the other.
No, and there's the one thing I'd add to this though is there are special players that I think change the percentages.
Yeah.
Alex Ovechkin clearly changed the percentages on the power play. Guys who are great at tipping the puck in front of the net, or good in the crease area, like Simmons, for example, or have the nasty shots on the point. They can alter the power play percentage. For the most part, though, I still think it's you got pro players. They all know what to do. They all know what the system is. It requires some luck, and then from year to year, you're going to be up and down unless you have one of the special players. Which
right.
Are
and the best penalty
10 guys maybe that can really change it up.
Right. No, you're right. And the best penalty killing teams are always the teams with the best goalies. If you look down the line, that's what it comes down to too. Because
you don't have to score in every power play, but if you can generate chances on power plays, it's almost like you can change momentum of a game. And you can settle things down if you're losing or if it's a tie game. A good power play can transfer into a really good period.
Yeah, but in the case of last night with the Flyers, they had the first 3. They had 3 power plays in the first period. You're on, the other team's home ice. This is the perfect time for you to get that momentum. And by not getting that momentum, it almost gave that momentum to Washington.
No, it definitely did. And now
we have to see what Philadelphia can do without Couturier, because I'm sure we're not going to get a clear indication of how long he's going to be out, if at all. But it looked like he broke his arm. He could barely.
I was told it was an AC joint.
Well, that's the rumor that got out there, and I don't know.
And I've had that injury. It's awful.
No, yeah.
Palacio has reported that he's out for the series with them.
Right.
But the team is saying
if it's an AC joint sprain, that could be a series. But if it's anything worse with a joint, that could be the season.
If Tim's saying that, that's absolutely the case.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, he knows the doctors on that team better than anybody. Tim goes to all the doctors on the Flyers team. He's had the same knee replacements, and he's had the same. I know he's had the same surgeries from that a lot of these players have. So. But let's move on to the Isles and Panthers game. Some people saying this would be a snoozer. This was one of the most exciting games we've seen so far. And the
Islanders don't play snoozing hockey. That's one thing for sure. Whether it's good or bad.
I will always come back to one of my favorite quotes of all time, and I know I've said it before, but I want to say it here. The last time Luongo was in the playoffs was, we all remember, right? The Bruins series, where Luongo couldn't stop a thing in Boston. It was just everything in Boston. I mean, the Bruins were scoring countless goals on him in Boston, right? And I remember being on the airplane with a bunch of reporters flying back to Vancouver for the last game, and one of the reporters in front of me saying, if Luongo could stop a bleeping beach ball, we wouldn't be doing this.
Honestly, I've seen Luongo play about 20 games this year between Buffalo, Toronto, and other games that I picked up, and that was the worst performance that he had all season. I gave the distinct advantage to Florida based on goaltending, and Thomas Greiss in the third period made a ridiculous save on Yager and made another save with his glove late in regulation that saved the game for the Islanders. So, I mean, Luongo, maybe it's a good thing that they're playing game 2 tonight and he can bounce back and that team can bounce back. But that was a performance. You looked at Gerard Gallant on the bench after some of those goals, and I think he wanted to assassinate some.
Well, there was a lot of defensive problems, right? But let's say that, the fact of the matter is that game was won by John Tavares.
It was.
And that to me was in a way. It sounds strange to say the coming out party of John Tavares to the NHL as a superstar, but that's what it felt like. He's had a great career already, but to me, watching that game, the couple of moves he makes, the one pass he made where it was so highlight reel, it's crazy. And just for him to make those plays, Dan, that was something. And then even for Strome, who we've been after for a while, to come up with a huge goal, big night.
Well, yeah, the play of Tavares last night and the last couple weeks, Franz Nielsen has really helped him on that line. I've noticed a lot when they're playing defense, Nielsen is sliding into the center spot because he's an excellent defensive center. And then when they're playing offense, they're kind of interchanging, and Tavares is playing center and sometimes wing too. I feel like Nielsen just calms down Tavares, and Nielsen's a highly skilled player, and he has space now. Tavares actually has some space on the ice now with that line, and Oposo is doing a nice job too, and that line is just working right now. And I have to give Jack Capuano some credit for putting them together, and also I was a little skeptical of the Smurf line, which would be Shane Prince and Ryan Strome and Alan Quine, but they looked outstanding. And that move that Alan Quine made, oh my goodness, to set up the Strome goal, It was absolutely filthy, and I am so happy for him because he has busted his ass in Bridgeport for 2.5 seasons. He's done everything the team's asked him for, and you like seeing a player get rewarded with an opportunity, and he deserves it right now.
Well, here's the thing, right? The Panthers... It wasn't like the Panthers had a bad game offensively.
No, that's the thing. The Islanders stole. I think the Islanders stole that game last night. But at the same time, the Panthers threw everything they had at them. It's not like the Panthers played poorly.
To me, I think it's a toss-up between Tavares winning it and Luongo losing it. And I don't like to be critical of Luongo because he's been remarkable this season, really has. And when you start talking about Jágr and his performance this season and how important Barkov's development has been. But really what started this entire turnaround was Luongo coming to Tampa Bay. They had a save percentage that was below 900 as a team before he showed up and parked his 915, 916 save percentage and, just made everything better. And so I hate to blame him, but I thought the Panthers played well enough to win that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Say that because Luongo said pretty much that same thing. Luongo came out and said we did fine, and we need to come out and do the same exact thing, and I need to be better. That's exactly what Luongo said. So.
And Brian Campbell needs not to coast around the net and let Tavares. I know Tavares is unbelievably quick now. The funny thing is, you remember that the criticism of Tavares when he was drafted and early in his NHL career was that he wasn't fast enough. He's fast enough, and
I think he's fast enough now.
I think he's extremely fast now, and he caught up to Campbell. Campbell was coasting. He stole the puck away from him, and he fed Oposo for the goal. That was a
beautiful stride too. He's not just fast; he's so smooth a skater. He really is. I agree that Campbell strip. You're stripping a veteran defender there in Brian Campbell. That's not like you're going up there and taking away from Shane Gostisbehere. You're taking away from Brian Campbell, who's played in
he's won Stanley Cups.
Oh, yeah.
The bottom line is since Game 6 of the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals, Luongo's 0-7 with a 3.74 goals against and a .87 save percentage. Something's got to change there.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's not going to be El Montoya, so it's going to be...
No, it's not. I don't expect Luongo to be nearly as bad as he was last night, but I also don't expect the Islanders' top 4 D-men to be as bad as they were last night.
Yeah, when Luongo's at his worst, he's going down really early. And
that's what he was doing. Yeah, short side high was open all night.
He's back in his crease, and Luongo does not have a great glove hand. That is his weakness, and it always has been. So he's not. How many times have we talked about Luongo's bobbling? He's one of the few goalies in the league that doesn't catch the puck very often.
He's a big goalie, and he was very small in the net yesterday. He got caught deep in his net on a couple goals. That first Islander goal, he got caught deep.
Oh, no, he was out of the crease in the first goal. He just got beat.
Was it the second one then?
It was the Franz Nielsen one, although I'm not sure. Tavares kind of froze everybody there, so I'm not sure. It's hard to get on. It's hard to get on for that because Tavares completely broke that play down.
Yeah,
so
when Kevin gets back, I want to go into. I'm going to jump whatever we're doing into the because he has to leave at 1:50, and I want to get into the Predators Ducks.
Okay.
Talking about this. Let's talk about the Wild.
Yeah, real quick, can I add a point about Poor Canada? Because Canada picked, I guess on a TSN poll, picked the Florida Panthers as their team to root for since Canada was in the playoffs. And Poor Canada can't catch a break, man. Can't catch a break.
If I'm a Panthers fan, I'm not that discouraged. I think they played a really good game last night. If they play like that again today, they can definitely they should even the series up. But the Islanders got exactly what they needed. They got the split.
Jaromir Jagr is going to avoid getting slammed into the boards by Pulock like he did yesterday. But we can talk about Dallas, Minnesota quick because that series is going to be over rather quickly.
All it merits is a little quick discussion because really that game last night was, I mean, the only thing that was keeping the Wild in it at all in the first period was Dubnyk, and he is playing really well again. But and it's a shame. I feel, I mean, the Wild just have the worst luck. I mean, they really do. They go out there and I remember the one year they were really strong. And Backstrom gets hurt in the warm-up of the first game. Remember that of the playoffs? That was just 2 years ago, I guess. They played the Hawks, and everybody thought they could actually beat the Hawks. And yet, Backstrom gets hurt, and so they got to go to they went to like Kemper, right, or something like that.
Right.
And this team just now to have like the day before this news about Parise is just it's just.
I think part of the problem is the way they're constructed. They've spent so much money on their wings. They just don't have enough down the middle. I like Charlie Coyle, but they don't have a true number one center. They are just so thin down the middle, and it's okay during the regular season because their defense is good enough, their goaltending is good enough, and I think they should still score more. I don't think they score enough goals. But with that being said, when it comes playoff time, their deficiencies down the middle are exposed.
They're deep on defense. They're weak up the middle, and they got too much money spent on veteran wingers like Pominville, Vanek, Parise. It's too much. And
the Granlund deal isn't great. They have a lot of bad contracts on that team.
Yeah, and you talk about a team that's going to be choked on the cap. I mean, I expect them to lose in 4 or 5. I mean, you think Edmonton is a team that's going to go through a radical change this year. Toronto, maybe Boston, a couple other teams. I think Minnesota is going to,
Well, Minnesota, not to do rumors because I like to go rumors this time of year, especially players are still playing and teams are still playing. But this is where Kyle Okposo could end up. I mean, this is really at the end of the day.
I guess the question is how can they afford him without making?
I've talked to people in there. They know how they would do it. But I don't know.
But they still need centers though. I mean, you can bring in another winger.
But they really are into this concept of bringing in guys who want to play, who want to be Minnesotans. Like and I didn't understand. I mean, I didn't understand at all the Vanek signing at all. Like we talked about that. I muted you, Mike. Kevin. I'm sorry.
They fall in love with players from their own state, though.
I want to jump real quick because Kevin has got to go soon, and I want to talk about the Predator. I want to preview the Predators and Ducks because before we get too far, and I want you to start with it, Kevin. You give us your thoughts on this.
Well, I think it's going to be one of the better series. I mean, if you look at how the teams were performing at the end of the season, to me there was the Penguins playing at a high level, and then right after it was the Predators and Ducks. So I thought were the second and third teams in terms of racking up wins and accomplishing what they were trying to get done. And what the Ducks accomplished this season, starting out so poorly, and then I tried to come up with a comparison, but I don't remember anything quite as dramatic as what they did. I mean, Bruce Boudreau basically had a team meeting and said, we can't score any goals, and it doesn't look like we're going to be able to score goals. So why don't we just start preparing as if we got to win these games 1-0? Now, that sounds pretty crazy, but that was essentially the speech. And guess what? They were able to do that. And
it worked.
They have really converted this team into, hey, we're going to try to beat you 1-0 and 2-1. And it's really worked, and their defense, I think, was underrated all season long. Very mobile defense. I think you have 2 of the better defensive teams here playing well, and I think the series could go either way, to be honest with you. I took the Ducks, but the Predators are certainly capable of winning.
Yeah, this is that. I picked the Predators in this one. And I'm going with the Predators, and I know but I do want to say, Kevin, that you and I want to thank you very much because you're the only person who went with me and picked the Sharks in the other series.
Oh, let's not talk about that. Come on.
That's not even true. I picked the Sharks in the other series.
Well, you weren't on yesterday. Sorry, we didn't get your pick yesterday. Sorry. Sharks?
I was definitely one of those people.
Well, I mean, the Sharks, it's not like a big surprise. I mean, I'll tell you what, it was a surprise, though. Did anybody, I certainly understood that the Sharks are not the same Sharks that, couldn't deal with the Kings' physical play a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
But, when we watched that game last night, what was striking to me was now that we're in a playoff format, is they're the Kings' equals now in terms of tenacity. Like they beat the Kings essentially at their own game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I like the Kings are they're a handful in the playoffs. They're a handful. And the Sharks were a handful last night. Wingles had 7 hits. They had a lot going on. I thought they were very impressive last night, and I thought the Sharks were going to win this series, and I still feel that after watching that game 1.
Look, I don't want to talk. I like this Sharks team. I like what they've done. They've kind of rebuilt on the fly here. It's just hard for me to pick them when you look at their past history. I want to pick the Sharks. I couldn't based on their past history. It's like putting Sugar Ray in the studio and expecting Sgt. Pepper to come out. You can't do that when you look at the past resume. It just doesn't work that way. So the same thing with St. Louis, Washington, and San Jose. I want to pick them all the time.
To lose that series?
I did pick the Caps this year because
they're just too good. They're just too good.
Yeah. But with St. Louis and San Jose, it's like I want to, but in the words of Missouri, show me. I just haven't seen it.
Well, they just want to fly.
Real impressive.
Arms around me, baby. Put your arms around me, baby. All right, because that's where the Sharks are going.
The real impressive.
Quote Sugar Ray, if I could.
All around the world, statues crumble for me.
right. But no, I mean, I think Kevin, you're dead on, and I think that what we have to realize is this Sharks team has been built to beat this Kings team. This team has been, the whole focus of this team has been to beat, and it was before the crazy collapse that was the case, and now it's even gotten more so. But
yeah, they're not the same team though. That's not the same Sharks team.
Right.
No, of course. Did you hear the thing? I don't know. They showed the thing on Canadian TV that was really funny about this. Did you see that, Jill, that they did with the Sharks?
Which one?
Okay, they went and interviewed the Sharks players, and they said, okay, because George Stroumboulopoulos is phenomenal. Like, I think he is awesome at everything he does. I really like that guy. So he's on there, and before the game, and he's talking, and he said, well, the Sharks were going to be asked about, they knew they were going to be asked about the Kings series before. So here's their answers. Every one of them, they went to 5 different guys and the coach. They all said the same exact thing. They all said, we have 10 new players since then and a brand new coaching staff. And they all said it exactly the same way. Like,
Don Skoy, Hurdle, those guys don't know anything about that.
There was a memo that was just put out. They had their talking point. This is how you're going to respond to it. 10 new players and a brand new coaching staff. Doesn't matter. So you're right, but I thought that the Sharks scored the first 4 goals of that game, like I tweeted out last night. I mean, they scored 2 on themselves and 2 against the Kings.
Yeah, but the thing that was the most important act was early in the game. Roman Polak didn't lay out, but he stood up Anze Kopitar, and that I think that served as a little bit of a wake up call for the Kings that maybe they have met their match, but deep in this series, I'm sorry. The character of guys like Thornton and Marlowe, who have consistently lost when it counts.
Whoa! Are you the character of Joe Thornton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just do that?
Yeah.
I'm not questioning his character, but if you look at
not his character, but his ability.
Not his character. He just resembles the Tin Man at times. He's the West Coast Rick Nash at times.
I want to hear a drugged up Kevin Allen respond to this. Go ahead.
I mean. To me, Joe Thornton is Jaromir Jagr 7 years earlier. Like, he's going to be 40 years old and playing with the same energy and heart. Like, this is a guy that was, at the top of his game this year and at advanced age. He had some of the best defensive numbers going. I had him on my Selke ballot for how well he played this season on both sides of the ice. Like, he's never been the problem there. He's been part of the solution. And, I get it that his numbers have been down in the playoffs compared to the regular season, but to me it was reflective of how poor the team was as a group as opposed to what he was doing. Joe Thornton has been a very consistent player throughout his career.
I think the problem is they've had so much regular season success that their results now are defined by what they do in the playoffs, and that's not. I don't think that's fair to them. And with that being said, I think this Sharks team is different because they don't need Thornton and Marlowe to be the number one players on their team with the likes of Couture and the likes of Pavelski. And I think, obviously they've had great seasons, but I don't think the Sharks' success or their ability to beat the Kings are solely on the shoulders of Thornton and Marleau. In the past, we couldn't say that.
For one thing, Thornton and Marleau are not the same player. This is not
right.
Marleau and Thornton are not Taves and Kane. They're not.
Right.
You know what I mean? Marleau is a different animal.
Yeah, right.
Patrick Marleau to me, plays a completely different game and shouldn't be linked. The two should not be linked. They happen to be on the same team. Okay,
and they've been linked together.
I think it is fair to say the Sharks have long underachieved and not to have any trust in the Sharks. But I don't think it's fair to link it to say that Joe Thornton should be held accountable for all the sins of the Sharks. I think he's been his level of consistency says he's been an exceptional player for a very long time.
Yes. And I'm not saying he's solely responsible. I'm saying, when that team is up 3-0 and they lose in Game 7, I mean, that's not just Joe Thornton. That's symptomatic of the entire.
Well, that was a total collapse. But talking about big moments in that game last night, and I thought what Mike said was right on the money in terms of sending a message. But to me, that series, when we look back on it, if the Sharks win, I'm going to say that the series turned in Game 1 when Pavelski out-muscled Kopitar, went around the net, and scored. I mean, Kopitar is one of the best all-around players in the top 3 or 4. And for Pavelski to pull that move on Kopitar and get around and score that goal, I mean, that was incredible.
He is the most underrated goal scorer in the NHL. Pavelski.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think there's anyone close. I mean, as far as I mean, the guy scores like 40 goals, and it's just, and no one thinks of him. Everyone thinks of Thornton and Marleau, but you've got a 40-goal scorer on your team,
Here's the other interesting fact on Pavelski. He played right wing this season for the most part, and he'll be the #1 center on USA's World Cup team.
Right.
Which says a lot more about U.S. centers than.
Yeah, it does say a lot about U.S. centers.
Well, for now, I think there's a few good young American centers in this league now.
In about 3 years, Eichel and Matthews, so that's
that's right, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure,
So
those three names. That's scary, by the way, what you just said. But say that again, Mike. Say that again.
Eichel and Matthews.
And Larkin can play center too.
And Larkin too. Yes, that's true.
Yeah. It's a good day. It's a good time to be American.
That's not a bad three. I know.
It's always a good time to be American.
Yeah.
Those guys will make the World Cup of Hockey Young Guns team pretty interesting too. So.
Make America great again.
We'll get a little preview of that.
Well done, Mike. Well done.
What'd you say?
I said, "Make America great again."
We need hats that say "Make Hockey Buzz great again."
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Assuming it's not great already.
Predators. Let's finish up with the Predators before Kevin has to go. This series to me is simply, this is the time that Pekka Rinne has to win a series. That's how I see it. I see this. I mean, Pekka Rinne's been a great goalie, but he hasn't been a superior goalie in the playoffs. And this is the if he can do that. The one thing I will say about this Ducks team, and I watched them a lot more this year than I usually watch them because they were so fascinating in their turnaround, is that I have seen them frustrated by great goalies when they get into a situation where and not every team gets frustrated by great goalies, but this Ducks team can be surgical in their approach sometimes. They really are phenomenal, and I think they're the best team breaking out of their own zone in the NHL. The Ducks, they're just so good at that, but they are not. They definitely, if Pekka Rinne can come through in this series, that's where this thing could turn. If Rinne can get a couple, get a shutout early in one of these first 2 games or something like that, it's time. It's his time to do it. I mean, it's all on him, in my opinion. I think the Predators are going to score enough goals to win. I think that they finally have 2 scoring lines for the first time going into the playoffs. That's a big deal.
Well,
I'll
let Kevin. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
To me, the series will be decided by Johansson and Fischer against Getzlaf and Kessler, and there's just no comparison there. And I'm not sure they do have 2 scoring lines. Like, I'll buy one, but the playoffs is a different animal, as we all know. And this Predator team actually has had some experience. We all remember what Kessler did to them. A few years ago, and I'm not sure they're quite ready for that yet. So it'll be interesting. I could be wrong, but that's the advantage I think the Ducks have is the center ice. But I really agree in your assessment of Pekka Rinne has to step up. He's really had an uneven season, to say the least. And meanwhile, you got John Gibson, who still young enough that he doesn't know what he doesn't know, and by that I mean he doesn't know that he should be a little nervous about this. I think he's really confident, and it's going to be I think it'll be a fun series, but I still like the Ducks.
He's definitely their starter. You think Gibson's their starter for the series?
Well, Bruce Boudreau said early that when Anderson was hurt, that he was preparing a mindset as if Gibson was going to be the starter, but Anderson played well in that last game, and now all of a sudden I've heard he's sort of backed off a little bit. So I don't know why I wouldn't play Gibson, though. I mean, Gibson is to me, it's like in baseball when you got the consistent 18 to 20 home run guy that you like, but when you got a 35 home run guy, even if he strikes out a little bit more, you still want him in the lineup. Because
would you rather have 250 and 40 home runs or 280 and 18 home runs?
Right. That's right, and that's what I see. I mean, I think Anderson is a good goalie.
Mm-hmm.
Gibson can be a difference maker. Like when he's on, he's invincible.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
Before Kevin leaves, I just want to get his reaction to this because the news just came out. Dan Girardi out for the Rangers tomorrow against the Penguins. Lundqvist is a game-time decision. Marc-Andre Fleury was at practice this morning and participated, and Evgeny Malkin skated on a line with Sidney Crosby and I can't remember. Oh, and Patrick Hornqvist on the wing. He played the wing. So if the two guys come in and the other two go out, this is ugly for the Rangers.
Yeah, but I will say this. I mean, obviously I was there in Pittsburgh. Let's not forget that the Rangers played okay in that game. Like, they really did. They played okay. And if Lundqvist could have stayed in the game, it could have been a different game. It was obviously 48 seconds to go. He was injured. Then he came back, and they scored a goal. And, that game changed after that. But Girardi, to me has not been the same Girardi that we saw when Tortorella was coaching. But it is a significant loss. I mean, he is a shutdown guy. So it'll be interesting to see. But the Penguins are just playing so well right now that I'm just almost looking forward to already for Pittsburgh versus Washington.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good. Well, Kevin, thanks for joining us. What do you got going on in USA Today today?
Well, I'm actually writing about Zadkov because I don't think Fleury is going to be ready.
Right.
And, I'm doing my own podcast, obviously, at 2 o'clock. That's why I got to leave now. So if you got mine too, and you got 2 hours in your life, come and join us. We only do 45 minutes, though. So.
There you go.
See you later.
Thanks so much, Kev. So let's
I just got to piggyback on Girardi for 1 second, though. It might not hurt the Rangers. It might help them. Because because just from the perspective of I'm not big on analytics, but I think you can use them to support the Rangers' possession stats when Girardi's not on the ice is around 52%. That's very good. When Girardi is on the ice, it's around 43%. That's horrific.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had him paired with Stahl, and they were the ones.
They were exposed. They were exposed. They're both like in whatever their age is. They're like they're old 30, old 33. Like Tortorella got the best out of them, but at the same time, he shortened their career. You can't block 250 shots a year and not come out unscathed.
So now both Brady Shea and Dylan McElrath will be in the lineup for the Rangers.
I thought Brady Shea played well in Game 1.
He did. But the thing that was puzzling to me, Dan, was the fact that Vigneault was playing Keith Yandel, clearly now his best or second best defenseman, depending on whether you think Klein is, with Dan Boyle, who is shot. He's done.
Yeah, I don't get that one either.
Yeah. So now, and I mean, I'm hoping now that with Girardi out, that he mixes up the defensive pairings, because if you're going to keep Yandel and Boyle together, I think it's...
Now, is Girardi injured, or is he a healthy scratch?
They just said he's out. I assume that he's injured, so, I mean, but they're not specifying anything more. But if Lundqvist comes back, if Lundqvist plays, and it sounds, they're saying game-time decision, and they're saying that there wasn't any vision problem with the eye, just some swelling, To me, I'd be shocked if he doesn't play. If he does play, I think they have a chance to win this game. If they don't, if he doesn't, I think they're done in the series.
No, for sure. I think that's a given too. Jill, what is your thoughts on the Predators and Ducks?
I have a similar feeling of you. It's got to be Pekka Rinne. He's got to come out there and outmatch the goalies that they have there in Anaheim. And I just don't think that the Predators have a secondary scoring that they need to win the game. I think that's the biggest concern. But if Pekka Rinne can come out there and steal some games, I think you have an interesting series. But I'm still picking the Ducks. I have the Ducks in 6 actually.
Yeah, I think the Ducks and the Predators have the two best defenses in the Western Conference, maybe in the NHL. You could say Washington, maybe Chicago. Chicago's isn't as deep, but I think they're very on an equal plane. Rinne, if he's at his top level, is better than the Ducks goaltending, but he hasn't played that way in the second half.
Yeah.
Where I have the problem here is, like Kevin said, Kessler head-to-head against Johansson. If Kessler shuts Johansson down, they're done. I mean, yeah. I think you can get some offense out of Forsberg. You can get some offense out of secondary offense out of Mike Ribeiro. But basically Mike Fisher's job is going to be try to shut down Ryan Getzlaf, and that's a hell of a challenge to pull off. So if it's a 50-50 there, I just don't know if Nashville can generate enough offense. It's going to have to be a 2-1 game, and that's putting a lot of pressure on your goaltender. So I'm going to say Ducks in 6.
I think Ribeiro is could get destroyed against those Ducks centers. I think the defense is close. I think the goaltending's close. I think with Rinne having a higher upside with the ability to steal more games. But when it boils down to it, I think the Ducks are just better down the middle too. And let's not forget what Rickard Rakell has done for this team. Yes. And if he's back and he's healthy and he's playing well, I just think the Ducks are just too deep down the middle. And I have the Ducks in 6 as well. I want to take the Predators. I really do. I would love to. I really like their team. I just don't think there's enough there in their top 6.
Also, one thing we're ignoring is the special teams. Nobody has talked about that, and the Ducks are number 1 on the power play and the penalty kill. Yeah. So the Predators are going to they got to be very disciplined, and also they have to really fight hard when they're on the power play. So.
Dan, you ever look at like a trade of draft picks, and then down the line you see the players that are exchanged and how horrific it is? 2011 draft, the Maple Leafs traded up from the 30th pick. They got the 30th pick in the Thomas Caberlet deal and traded their second round pick to move up 8 slots. They took Tyler Biggs at 22. Yep. Anaheim took Rakell with the 30th pick in the first round and John Gibson with the second round pick. Nice trade.
Yeah, that one stings a little.
Stings a lot. So
that sounds like a Maple Leaf thing to do, though.
Well, before we get out of here, I wanted to before we hit the Draft Lottery Simulator, I wanted to definitely check out Jillian's article on Hockey Buzz on deserving the cup. I really liked it a lot, Jill. It was and it was an interesting concept of basically explain a little bit about the article.
Well, it started with really Timonen for me. That I've thought about this before in the past, but just seeing how the league reacted when you saw Taves pass the cup to Timonen, I mean, it just kind of made your heart a little warm, honestly. And you felt like one of the good guys won, and it got thinking about you have Ray Bourque and just all these players who, throughout their career, they display those characteristics of what you think a true NHL player, who you want to play with, who you want on your team, and who you want representing your team too, like the kind of face of your team. And I just kind of got thinking that there's these players that you hear about that you're like, man, they deserve a chance to go for that cup again. And I think it's an interesting concept because you don't hear it as much in other sports. It's really more specific to the NHL, I think. You hear it sometimes, but really it's the NHL, and got me thinking about why is it so unique to the NHL. And it just seems that it's that one sport where even though it's always about the team, when you have a player who is consistently providing to your team, you feel like they should have one last chance. And right now I think Shane Doan is the next one we're going to hear about, and Jerome McGinley.
Yeah, those are two really good ones. Shane Doan, I always want him to get traded. He's good friends with Mike Fisher, no relation to Julian Fisher. He's good friends with Mike Fisher, and you would expect, you keep expecting him to go, to Nashville. Like Nashville's a perfect place for Shane Doan to go and try to win a cup, And he would be a great fit for them. He would be fantastic. Like they could use that. They could use him as a center. He'd be really huge. He does love it in Arizona.
Yep.
But I wonder. Every year I wonder. It's like, is next year the year that he's going to go and play for the Predators?
Dave Tippett has more control of player personnel supposedly in this new changeover in Arizona, and he insinuated that Shane Doan will stay. That they're going to do everything they can.
Well, yeah. If he want, they'll let Shane. He owns the town. I mean, they'll let him do whatever he wants to do. Like if he wants to stay, he's staying. If he wants to go, and he'll go.
Because look at the Coyotes organization next year, Rock. I mean, it's going to be Domi in his second year. You're going to be probably bringing in Dylan Strome and Christian Dvorak. You have a lot of talented young rookies. You need a strong leader there, and he is. So I think it's even more important for the Coyotes to keep him around and have him be a leader.
Well, I was really interesting. I was close to Tiemann, and I still am close to Tiemann. And the whole situation when it went down last year, and how he decided, he wanted to go, and how actually, frankly, cool the Flyers were to give him a chance to go to a team that could win. That's another thing. And then they got a lot for him, which was pretty amazing. I mean, they got way more for him than I think than he should have gotten.
Well, and also when you bring those players on, we know it's not a blockbuster deal. You're not. I know we all love those deals where you get this crazy trade going, but that's more of the one where you're just getting that leadership, you're getting that experience, and they're a good guy. In a locker room, especially if you're having a hard time in the Stanley Cup final, you need that personality there. You need somebody. Think about Wayne Simmons. If he's in the Stanley Cup final right now, he could probably use, if he's down on himself, you need somebody just to kind of remind you, you need that personality. So they provide more than just on the ice. Sometimes they are providing a lot. I know Tiemann did not, and not that he didn't provide anything, but he didn't, rack up minutes out there. But he still provides something, and if anything, his whole career has shown that. I know, and people in Nashville loved him too, and I loved him. And he seemed like he was so deserving of that chance. He was always a consistent player, and it'll be interesting to see if Lundqvist or Ovechkin doesn't win a cup by the time they get into their point in their career, because it's a shame. I think those are two players you're going to see if in several years they haven't won the cup, getting toward the ends of their career. People will be talking about how they never got that chance, or they had the chance, but sometimes luck plays into winning the cup.
And there is another side to this. There is a side of people who say, "Oh, it's not. It doesn't. What does it mean? What does it mean? Like Tiemann goes and wins the Stanley Cup for the Blackhawks. I mean, there's no question. If you ask Tiemann, he would have much rather won a Stanley Cup as a Flyer or as a Predator. And Bork would love to have won a Stanley Cup as a Bruin.
Yeah.
But I'm talking to Danny Briere towards the end of his career. There's another guy who I really wish could have won a Stanley Cup.
Absolutely.
And he he made his decisions on where he played based on the fact that not money, but at the end based on the fact of who he thought could win the Stanley Cup. When he signed with Montreal, he did that because he really thought Montreal had a shot at winning the Cup. And he said, you got Carey Price, you got all the PK Subban, you have a young team coming up, and then when he accepted the trade, because he had a no trade clause, accepted the trade to Colorado. Colorado was coming off of a year where they were first in the Central, and he thought that that you don't realize how important it is. I mean, not you, but one does not realize how important it is that two of these players to win the Stanley Cup. It means a lot. They would give away years of salary. Some told me, just to have a chance to just to win it.
And I understand that other side of it. I understand people feel that there should be. That's not really that great. He barely played anything in the team. He barely made any real contribution on the ice. I get it, but why don't you ask Taves why he passed him the cup first? Yeah. The players get it.
There's a great amount of respect, and I was there on the ice. I got to talk to Tiemann. I got to, and I got to talk, and not just him, but his family, his kids, who I've known for a long time now. It was so fantastic to see this whole, and his agent who had been with him through all the different. It was so cool to see how this all played out and what that meant to him, and being able to retire after that moment.
Champion.
That's something. And Mark Recchi, the year before, the same way with Boston. It was just, and he had already won Stanley Cups, but just to win on the top like that, it is good. And this is something I definitely would, in the summer, where I would like to have a whole show on the players who deserve this shot.
And players who didn't get that chance. That would be really great too.
I always think of Dennis Savard as well. Dennis Savard won a Stanley Cup as a Montreal Canadian. but he was a Blackhawk, and he just won in the year that Montreal happened to get hot in '93 and win it. No one expected them to win, but yeah, and then
personally, I am perfectly fine with Henrik Lundqvist, like this being the closest he ever comes to a Stanley Cup.
You can't deny, even if you don't like him as a player because he's good, that everything you hear about him off the ice he's.
I have the utmost respect for Henrik Lundqvist.
Exactly.
And if he didn't wear Rangers uniform, he would be one of my favorite players in the league.
Exactly.
There is no justice in the NHL when it comes to winning a Stanley Cup because Marcel Dion in his lengthy career, I think it was over 20 years, didn't win a Stanley Cup, but Gilbert Dion did.
Yeah, I know. There you go. I mean, and there are so many players like that.
It's great to talk more about. I think it's a great, especially in the off season when
we should. That's definitely a show. We'll do a show one day with that. That's a great thing.
Stop playing with your puppet, Dan.
Yeah. It just shows how great the Stanley Cup is. It shows why these are the best playoffs out of all the sports, really. And that we can talk about the Stanley Cup. And
the NHL Network last year when it did its thing with the and it does it all the time with the Kings and all the players, what they did with their Stanley Cup. I mean, that was just. I mean, you couldn't help but Anze Kopitar a lot more after watching that video. I mean, if him this is the porch that my grandmother used to freeze and we would play out here. I mean, and seeing it just was awesome. So and I know, Jill, you're going to go because you are in Toronto today and you are going to do what now?
I am going to learn how to curl. Get excited, everybody! I'm going to sweep the ice and probably make a fool of myself. So I
could make a bad hair curling joke here, but I won't.
I think that's awesome. I can't wait.
Which means you're gonna drink some beer too.
Yeah. Well, we were out last night. There was it's the Pinty's Grand Slam of curling up here, which I didn't know this, but these are the best curling teams around the world. So you have teams the one women's team is probably going to represent Canada in the Olympics, which is really hard to do. It's very, very competitive. Oh, yeah. And we're out with them afterwards, and I guess in the players' lounge or something. I don't know. I don't know how we ended up getting in there, but they really like to party. That's not something I would have exactly expected. But
nothing more exciting than a group of women curlers.
It was men too. There were men there. So.
No, I bet you. I bet you. There is nothing more exciting.
There is another side to the curl. It may seem like it's not as high energy on the ice, but I promise you, they know how to have fun after their matches.
It's the only sport in the Olympics where people use their cell phones.
They use their cell phones in it?
I've seen it before. Yeah, there's a thing I saw last time where the one of the coaches or whatever can be up and looking up above high and call down to one of the people on the phone and they're like, oh, you should try this.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw it in the Olympics at least, so it was definitely worth it. Let's do the generator.
Simulator.
NHL lottery simulator, and then we will get out of here and let Joe go.
I'm feeling Edmonton today.
Winner is coming up. The Winnipeg Jets.
Jeez, Austin Matthews should have went to college.
Yeah. Followed up by the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
New Jersey Devils. Devils.
That'd be a win for the Devils.
The Devils climbed up pretty quickly there. That was a pretty good climb for the Devils. That's all the time we have for today. Remember to follow Russ the Chicken on Twitter, @Russ the Chicken.
Russ the Chicken was mad that another puppet made an appearance.
Yeah, I know. True. I don't know what he's doing now. He was he's hanging out with a llama.
He's using that power drill next to you apparently.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you on Monday.